Good day, my name is Zulkifli A. Dading and I am going to report about George Kelly's Psychology of Personal Construct. This is my topic outline. Abnormal development, unhealthy people, common elements in most human disturbance. First, threat, second is fear, third, anxiety, and the fourth is guilt. And lastly, the psychotherapy. Abnormal development. In Kelly's view, psychologically healthy people validate their personal construct against their experience with the real world. They are like competent scientists who test reasonable hypotheses, accept the result without denial or distortion, and willingly alter their theories to match available data. Healthy individuals not only anticipate events, but are also able to make satisfactory adjustment when things do not turn out as they expected. In Kelly's view, psychologically healthy people validate their personal construct against their experience with the world. So normally, tayong mga tao daw ay merong mga theories about the world. And then if yung mga theories natin o yung mga construct natin is not compatible to the real world, isang mangyayari is i-revise natin siya, no? Yung mga personal constructs natin. Para tayong mga good scientists na we can revise our opinion, we rephrase our conclusions in light of new data. The second one is unhealthy people. Stubbornly cling to outdated personal construct, fearing validation of any new constructs that would upset their comfortable view of the world. Such people are similar to incompetent scientists who test unreasonable hypotheses, project distort legitimate result, and refuse to amend or abandon old theories that are no longer useful. Kelly 1955 defined a disorder as any personal construct which used repeatedly in spite of consistent invalidation. Psychological disorder exists in present, neither past nor future. Psychologically unhealthy people often fail the test of permeability in one of two ways. They may be impermeable or they may be too flexible. So these are the examples. Too impermeable. New experience do not penetrate construction system, so the person fails to adjust the real world. An abused child rigidly construe all intimacy as bad, as solitude as good. Cling to. The next example is too flexible. Leads to disorganization as an inconsistent pattern of behavior and a transient set of values. Such an individual is too easily shaken up by impact of unexpected minor daily events. And then, unhealthy people, on the other hand, stubbornly cling to outdated personal construct, fearing validation of any new construct that would upset their present comfortable view in the world. So, parang hindi sila makamove on dun sa mga outdated personal constructs, like being the best person they are, like nung bata pa sila yung magaling, or kaya naman yung mga past behaviors nila, o belief nila na alam nila yung ginagawa nila sa internet age. So, that's unhealthy, ano? So, unhealthy yan kapag masyado na silang nagkikling doon, ano? Pero, for example, kapag tinuruan sila na kumbaga hindi na ganun yung mundo ngayon, and then nag-adjust sila because of that, so hindi na unhealthy yan, healthy people na yon. So nagkataon lang na hindi pa nila na-experience yung real world in some ways, but if they already experience the real world, or if they already have another data that will conflict their own beliefs, and then hindi pa rin nila revise yung mga beliefs nila, for example katulad ngayon sa mga vaccines and what, hindi na nagiging healthy yung personality mo kapag ganon. So, psychologically unhealthy people ay di na makakapasa sa permeability, sa test of permeability. So, impermeable, ito yung mga tao nga di na tumatanggap ng new experience, no? So, hindi sila agad-agad naniniwala na sa mga new experiences. So, ang flexible naman ay kabaliktaran ng impermeable. So, madali lang sila maniwala kahit na sa mga minor events lang. Let's move on to our next topic, which is the common element in most human disturbance. So the common elements in most human disturbance are threat, fear, anxiety, and guilt. So let's start sa threat, no? So threat, people experience threat when they perceive that the stability of their basic constructs is likely to be shaken. The awareness of imminent comprehensive change in one's core structures. So people experience threat when they perceive that the stability of basic construct is likely to be shaken. One can be threatened by either people or events, and sometimes the two cannot be separated. Personal construct are personal, and bringing change to this equivalent to killing a part of a person. So that's why there's a threat, diba? Kapag na nati-threaten ang personal construct ng isang tao, talagang mati-threaten yan kasi alam nilang masisira yung personal construct nila. And usually, yung mga personal construct na meron yung mga tao is parang mga alaga natin yan. Na kumbaga para siyang since nung nabuhay tayo is meron na yan yung pinag-iingatan natin, no? Yan yung pinaniniwalaan natin. And then sasabihin mo mali ako, no? So parang ganon. Kaya nagiging defensive sila. So again, defensive is the source of psychopathology, no? 'Di ba? Kasi may threat na nga sa kanila. The next one is fear. Threat is involved as a comprehensive change in a person's core structure. Fear, on the other hand, is more specific and incidentally. Kelly, 1955, illustrated the difference between threat and fear, which with the following example. A man may drive his car dangerously as a result of anger and exuberance. These impulses become threatening when the man realizes that he may run over a child or be arrested for reckless driving and end up as a criminal. So that is the threat, no? In this case, a comprehensive portion of his personal construct is threatened. However, if he suddenly confronted with the probability of crashing his car, will experience fear. Threat demands a comprehensive restructuring. Fear, an incidental one. Psychological disturbance result when either threat or fear persistently prevent a person from feeling secure. So, sabi dito, no, fear. So, ang fear ay yung natatakot ka, pero magkaiba rin yung fear sa threat. So, lahat tayo, parang kagaya lang din ito ng threat na nakaranas nito. Kahit sino ka pa, nakaranas tayo ng takot o ng fear. So, we all live in a constant fear, sometimes without even realizing it. Now, kahit na hindi na natin na-realize na nagkakaroon na pala tayo ng fear, no? Meron tayong mga example ng mga types of fear. First is the most basic type of fear, which is the instinctive. So, ito yung fear for your life, fear of pain. So, yung fear mo is yung natatakot ka na masaktan, yung mahulo, yung halimbawa nito, yung natatakot ka mabangga pag tatawid ka ng mga kalsada, ganyan. This is type of instinctive fear. So, meron din mga fear of punish, matakot ka magkamali, fear of failure, matakot kang ma-fail. So, napakaraming types of fear, no? So, dito, binigyan tayo ng example ng pagkakaiba ng threat at fear, no? So, sabi nga dito, a man may drive his car dangerously as a result of na anger. So these impulses become threatening, no? So threatening yung ganun na niya. So hindi siya ang niya doon, makakapaloob siya sa threat. So ang fear naman is if he suddenly confronted with the probability of crashing his car. So pag kinonfront siya agad, no? So totoo naman talaga, yun ang takot na fear. So kasi magkaiba sila. Ang threat, it demands a comprehensive restructuring, no? While ang fear naman is an incidental one. Let's move on to anxiety. The recognition that the event with which one of confronted lie outside the range of convenience of one's construct system. People are likely to feel anxious when they are experiencing a new event. The new experience could be something outside the range of convenience. As a consequence, the person may feel anxious that is at normal level and doesn't result to incapacitation. Pathologically, anxiety exists when persons incompatible construct can no longer be tolerated and the person construction system breaks down. Recall that Kelly's fragmentation theory assumes that people can evolve construction subsystems that are incompatible with another. For example, When a person who has erected the rigid construction that all people are trustworthy is voluntarily cheated by a colleague, the person may for a time tolerate the ambiguity of the two incompatible subsystem. However, when evidence of untrustworthy of other becomes overwhelming, the person's construct system may break down. The result is relatively permanent and debilitating experience of anxiety. Defined anxiety as the recognition that the events which one is confronted lie outside the range of convenience of one's construct system. So anxiety is in tandem with the threat. So if your personal construct is under threat, you will feel anxious about the certain event, no? Or if yung mga personal construct na meron ka is hindi enough para i-anticipate yung mga events na mangyayari in the future, that will cause also anxiety. For example, yung personal construct mo about relationship is dahil hindi ka pa nagkaroon ng jowa, kailanman, kumbaga first time mo magkaroon ng jowa, nagkakaroon ka ng anxiety kung anong gagawin mo. Kumbaga yung pagiging torpe, no? Ganon. Hindi mo pa alam anong gagawin, so wala ka pa talagang experience. So, pwede kang magkaroon ng anxiety mo doon. The last one is guilt. Kelly's sociality Collery assumes that people construe a core role that gives them sense of identity within a social environment. However, if that core role is weakened or dissolved, a person will develop a feeling of guilt. Kelly 1970 defined guilt as the sense of having lost one core role structure. That is, people feel guilt when they behave in a way that are consistent with their sense of who they are. People who have never developed a core role do not feel guilty. They may be anxious or confused, but without a sense of personal identity, they do not experience guilt. So for example, a person with an underdeveloped conscience has little or no integral sense of self and weak non-existent core role structure. Such a person has no stable guidelines to violate and hence will feel little or no more guilt even for depraved and shameful behavior. The next one is guilt, ano? So, having the lost one's core role structure. Yung guilt naman nafe-feel natin if ever meron tayong core na role. Kumbaga for example, ang role natin is as a good boy or as a good girl, as a good employee, as a good son, and then bigla hindi mo nagawa yun or meron kang nagawa na hindi dapat sa personal construct mo, no? Of your core role. So, doon ka magigilty. So, that's how guilt works. So, yung mga taong walang core role sa buhay is hindi nagigilty yan. So, these are the reason why some other peoples are not really guilty. So, ba't sila magigilty, ano? Hindi naman nila tinake yung role ng pagiging good boy or good girl. So, doing something bad, so hindi sila nakaka-feel ng guilty, no? So, this is based on Kelly. So, lastly is the psychotherapy. Psychological distress exists whenever people have difficulty validating their personal constructs, anticipating future events, and controlling their present environment. When distress becomes unmanageable, they may seek outside help in the form of psychotherapy. In Kelly's view, people should be free to choose those courses of action most consistent with their prediction of events. In therapy, this approach means the clients, not the therapist, select the goal. Clients are active participants in the therapeutic process, and the therapist's role is to assist them to alter the construct system in order to improve efficiency in making predictions. So the last one is psychotherapy. In Kelly's view, people should be free to choose those courses of action most consistent with their prediction of events. In therapy, this approach means the client, not be the therapist, select the goal. As a technique of altering the client's construct, Kelly used procedure called fixed role therapy. So, yung role na itong fixed role therapy, magti-take off ka ng isang role, pero di mo naman i-abandon yung mga personal construct mo, no? but you will take up another construct, will take up another sets of construct. And then, gagamitin natin yung mga set of construct na yon. First is with your therapist. For example, may tatanong yung therapist mo about dito. So, sasagutin mo siya as a person or as a role na sinet sa'yo. For example, yung role na binigay sa'yo ng therapist mo is being a scientist. So, anong sasabihin mo dito if you're a scientist, ano? And then, ito-test kung yung role ba na yun is mag-work for you. And then, if mag-work siya sa therapist, ita-try naman siya sa ibang mga clients. So, this fixed role na ito is just giving us other option or alternative construct. Kasi sabi ni Kelly, in the end, ikaw pa rin ang mamimili ng personal constructs mo talaga. So, ang psychotherapist lang o psychotherapy is tutulungan niya lang tayo mamili mga constructs or alternative constructs kumpara sa mga unhealthy constructs na meron tayo. So, yun nga, dahil sa mga unhealthy constructs natin, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga unhealthy behaviors, no?